Ain't nobody got me feeling like I'm feeling you, like I'm feeling you, like I'm feeling you.
Hello.
Dolls. We're back.
We're back. Another week of Tom Zanzibar's Vanderpump Rules.
Another week of madness.
Another week of cancellations.
Another week of depression.
Another week of depressed.
Tom Sandoval made front page of the New York Times magazine.
Let's
Magazine.
a digital cover, I think.
In this economy,
he looks really hot in the cover. Mm-hmm. That's unfortunate.
One thing that hasn't faded are his looks or his body, but I would say everything else has faded almost into like a gorgeous patina of terror.
Mm-hmm.
And he's putting in the work, and I honestly pray that we get more of this level of delusion.
He's also in an interview today. Do you see that?
He's taking over the world. One outlet at a time.
He at the time had this 23-year-old publicist named Riley who claimed to have grown up watching the show.
She's watched it since middle school.
Which is so dark.
Which I literally was like,
I need to go walk into the sea hearing that.
When I heard that she'd been watching it since middle school, this is me.
That's grounds for like rowing into the Bering Strait and just like disappearing into the North Sea.
Life, I feel like after 38 is about getting confronted by Yo-ho, and you're constantly navigating heave-ho energy, and then you're constantly reminded that even though you think of yourself as like 28 or like at the same age as a 28 or like those are your peers, they're actually indeed a decade younger than you.
Navarro walking into the ice, I now know I can actually agree with that after reading that detail that she first watched Vanderpump Rules in middle school. I was Navarro walking into the icy tundra.
What we didn't see in the finale of True Detective Night Country was that before Navarro placed the polar bear and the cell phone on her empty mattress, she pulled up her computer and read the digital article.
The New York Times magazine. Okay, so Sandoval, he says this. I'm not a pop culture historian, really, he said, but I witnessed the O.J. Simpson thing and George Floyd and all these big things, which is really weird to compare this to that, I think. But do you think in a weird way it's a little bit the same? No.
Here's what I'm going to say. And first and foremost, this was an incredible article. Like, this was written by someone who like knows what's up about Vanderpump Rules, real head.
The writer who did this is like extremely brilliant.
Amazingly written, like, and also probing and not judgmental while also capturing the minutia and the details, which I appreciate. It's not like taking necessarily like a moralizing stance, which I think is really important when it comes to these idiots in particular. I understand what Tom Sandoval was trying to say with that quote.
Dare I ask?
Well, he was saying like that Vanderpump Rules and Scandoval became like a lightning in a bottle cultural moment. Were his examples the right examples to cite? No. Should you, as a white person speaking to the press, invoke the name George Floyd? Probably not. But I get what he was trying to say. And even the author of the article was like, I understand what he was going for.
Right.
I don't think that he means
I'm like George Floyd.
Yeah. No, I think that it's just like the level of reaction and like engagement around it was at the same level. And he's not wrong about that. But when I read that, I was like, Jesus Christ. Now we're going to have to hear like all these white people like getting on their fucking pedestals and like denouncing this person.
Well, I think the problem with Sandoval is like, that is like a nuanced kind of statement, but he's so dumb. He can't articulate his thoughts well. So like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that would take someone with like eloquence and like some kind of gravitas in the way they like quote things or quote themselves. Tom Sandoval doesn't have many brain cells left, so it's really hard for him to like make a clear point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the point is I think he is being kind of extremely clear in the way he views the world, and that's what I crave and what I appreciate. Like, I want to know how someone
me too
like him views the world, and like I'm happy to know that that's where he stands.
No, I think like you said, it's a really great, it's like, this is like a classic good journalism and like good profile, a celebrity profile. They're letting the celebrity sort of like bury themselves.
Yeah, or just like show the true side of what their life and
Yeah.
like what their thought process is.
Like, you know, it takes a certain level of like,
and I appreciated that, like, because I mean, let's be real, whoever's in this day and age, you know, when someone says that it's just gonna be like Twitter and social media fodder for like the next week until everyone forgets about it and like moves on to the next thing to get up in a tizzy about. But I was like, wow, he really went there. And honestly, work.
Yeah, it's just
he
like,
gave them the old razzle dazzle, but his version of a razzle dazzle is burying himself even further, and we love to see it.
no, and it's like
Miss Zara,
because so many celebrity profiles these days are just puff pieces, and they're very like
propaganda,
and they're letting the celebrity sort of like control, but this person had full control without it showing. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a writer that has full, like, they're sort of like,
they're documenting.
it's like almost like a therapist. Like, they're just kind of listening and like you know what I mean, and like letting you, like, you are sort of steering the way, but the therapist is kind of quietly in control in a way.
What's even better about it, and even more interesting, I should say, is like this article. Now we've reached a point in Vanderpump Rules, and I think this has happened. I don't know if this has happened before. Let me know what you think. But like, the supplemental content around the show, like Rogue's podcast and this article, are more fascinating and interesting than the actual show itself. And that is a 911.
No, I agree with you. I think the show is sort of, it's snoozing a little.
Oh, it's snoozing.
So it's a little on autopilot right now. It's coasting off the incredible tsunami of last year.
And just knowing that people are going to stick around, and especially new people that got into it are going to be like watching with goodwill. But for the old heads, and what I also liked about the article is like, I liked the participation of the creator, Alex Baskin, and like the realness of him saying like, after this all went down, I had like a come to Jesus meeting with everyone from the cast, being like, we have to figure out how to make this show work and how to give people a good season. And TBD what came out of that meeting, because I'm failing to see anyone really getting off their ass and working.
Yeah.
But I love to know that he knows. And I do believe that like producers know when the show is a piece of shit, like it was for season 7, 8, and 9.
I just think this piece was just like a perfect, it's like Tom Sandoval is like kind of a symbol for like millennial, well, in his case, elder millennial narcissism. Just like, you know what I mean? And like in the age of social media and like cancellations and like social media dictating like sort of the gravity of everything. And do you know what I mean? And I think it was like a really good like glimpse of this like narcissistic person. That he does make one good point though. He's like, why did I get more hate than Danny Masterson, who's a convicted serial rapist? And it's like, he's not wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, and we've said it before on this podcast, like the amount of hate and anger that's directed at him is disproportionate to like what the actions were. Like, it does not make sense. It does not add up. But like
something
for
happened.
where the culture is, like it very obviously makes sense. But like it's not. It's out of control.
Yeah, it is very out of control, and it's I still like, I know for us and like other like longtime VPR people why Sandoval was so 9/11-esque, you know what I mean? Like it just like it shook. But it is, I still like, I think I know, but I'm still like trying to piece together why it was so momentous.
Well,
and I know Rogue has like talked about it on the pod, and like people have like, but I'm still, and like I hear it, it's like it just was right place, right time kind of thing.
It's a zeitgeist thing.
It just captured the zeitgeist, but I'm still like beyond that, like moving out of that. I look down and from an aerial shot, and I'm just like, still though.
We were bored.
Why?
It was Q1. Q1 is kind of a hard Q. Tail end of Q1.
I think
people needed a win. Vanderpump Rules had been really bad for years, and it was nearing the end of the line, and it just hit. And I think the unexpectedness, I don't think it would have been as viral had it just been an outsider. I think the fact that it was happening within the cast was a huge deal.
I know why. Do you know what I mean? Like I know why it was, but I'm still like a year later, I'm still kind of like, I'm looking back like, wow, it was just like,
it was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, like where dads know about it.
Yeah. But I mean, the New York Times now basically has like a Vanderpump vertical. They're on the beat. They're literally every week we hear about someone else on Vanderpump Rules in the New York Times.
What also a detail you sent to this group text we're in that I was shaken by was that first season the VPR cast were only paid $10,000 for the full season, and now they're making $35,000 an episode, which still
$25,000.
That feels low for where they are now,
I guess. But it also is like, I know it's 24 episodes, so
that's true.
That actually ends up being more money. But like, I mean, when you compare it, and I guess Jersey Shore would have like 10 to 12 episodes, so it's a bit different. But Jersey Shore by season 2, 3, I mean, Sitch was making 6 figures an episode on early seasons of Jersey Shore. And I think he said when he came back, he was making 45 an episode for Family Vacation.
Well, no, I mean but again, that was pure, like Jersey Shore was also like lightning in a bottle, like zeitgeist, like that, especially the first 3 seasons where it was like gripping, everyone was watching. Then it kind of like tapered off a little, but now they're back and like bigger than ever.
Yeah, it's the biggest show on MTV. But like, it just, what's definitely not working about this season, and what has not been an issue in the past, is like, something that makes this show great is that these people fuck each other over and like ruin each other's lives, but then they get over it and like move on and continue to film and like live their lives and for our entertainment. And now there's been like a line drawn in the sand of, this cheating scandal is a bridge too far, when, let's be real, everyone has cheated on everyone on this show. The show is built on the backs of dishonesty and infidelity. And now somehow there's this line that's like, that's it, enough. Like, we're not going to film together. And like, I can't be in the same room as this person. And it's like, okay, I understand if you were just living life and you weren't part of this show, or you were on a different show, that would be okay. But this is Vanderpump Rules, and it's time to get over it.
I mean, literally the first line of the show, Lisa says in the very beginning, in the season 1, episode 1, "Sir is a place you take your mistress." So it's like, she's basically,
she loves it.
No, but that's like, I know that was just her being cheeky, but that's like, you're setting the scene. Like, this is a place, a den of sin. And all of them have either participated in cheating or cheated on a partner. And it just like, it does not compute for me still. that they are all, I don't know. I think that when you have a show, the show abides by a very specific formula, and that's set. That's in whether it's a reality show or like a narrative show. Like there's a formula for why it works, and if you stray outside of that formula, you're gonna fuck it up. And like that happens all the time in like scripted television. And I think that you must compartmentalize and just play fucking ball. I think that was the problem. That's why the show was starting to like, the show was sort of in that territory before Sandoval. Do you know what I mean? Where like people were getting like on their high horses a little bit about certain things. And I think that's why it was starting to circle the drain a little, because it was losing that, just, you know, losing that level of like Jax having sex with a woman next to a vegetable person. Yeah. And then when Sandoval, it felt like the old days on another level. You know what I mean? And I do think also that my other theory is like that it's really about Raquel too. I think the people, the cast, especially the women, just didn't like Raquel. And
I think they didn't like Raquel.
I think she was younger than them, and I think like I know that sounds like shallow, but I do think
that's real.
I think there was like something about her. There's something about her that just rubbed people the wrong way, and unfortunately, like someone like Ariana who saw past that and like saw her, you know what I mean, and was kind to her. That's why it stung so much, because Ariana was one of the few people that gave her a chance, because she wasn't in the time like threatened by her, because she was secure enough in herself. Do you know what I mean? But I think with Lala and Katie and, you know, some of the other people, I think Raquel just kind of represented like
possibility that had slipped through their fingers.
Yeah. And I think when it happened, it was just like she was already a scapegoat in a way.
Definitely.
And I think that's part of why it was so huge, was because Raquel/Rachel was, you know, already like the whore, or like she was the one
she was positioned to be the next big whore. And like the show only works when someone pulls like the biggest whoring move that they can possibly dream of. So like in the past, that's been Lala, Sheena, Kristen, Jax, Schwartz a little bit, but never really proven or taken to task. But now we had Raquel with the biggest whore move of all time, but then removed herself from the narrative. So now we have a show that is contingent on having a whore to be crucified in order to work. And there is no whore. There's just like a sad kind of desperate man who, I guess he's the whore, but he's not getting the whore treatment. Like the Vanderpump Rules doesn't function well on empathy. Like the whole thing is like when you're a whore on Vanderpump Rules, you get stoned in the town square, and then we all watch and we celebrate and rejoice. And that's how it works. Yeah, you get lotteried. And so now instead of the lottery, it's literally being like, he's depressed, darling. He can't please.
Okay, but
so there's too much empathy, and like the whore doesn't get empathy until maybe like a couple seasons, or the whore never gets empathy until someone else becomes the biggest whore, and then there's like kind of like you just pass the buck to the next whore on the line.
And then you take a stone and stone the whore.
And then you take your rightful place to stone the new whore to death.
And I think Tom is getting like Lisa, and even in this, you see in this episode, like Sheena and Lala, like beginning the wheels turning a little, because he's a man.
Totally.
And men get more.
They get a lot more bandwidth on this show.
And even though he is hated so much, he seems to be getting more like pity in a way. And I think Raquel will not get pity, and I think that they have the crucifix, they have the giant cross waiting on the top of the hill with no person to hang it from. And I think they're all kind of sitting there,
they're waiting for the whore to come back.
Whore to come with her crown of thorns. But Raquel, in a revolutionary move, removed herself and moved to Tucson, and is just like, she's like, hey, I'll be over here,
Potting.
can't come over here, you know. And I think they're like, what the fuck, because they, again, and I think it makes them even hate her even more, because she kind of never really followed the rules, if you think about it.
She always was rogue.
She always was a little rogue. Like, even when she came out in that horrific ruffle dress and was just...
That was rogue.
She was rogue. And, like, you had no choice but to stand. And I think they're like, wait, we have, like... They're all holding the wooden stakes, like the nails. They're all waiting in their little, like, Pontius Pilate outfits. And she's not there. And they're all just kind of, like, sitting there. And I think that's what's happening on the season, is they're all just, like, listening to the wind drone, waiting for the rickety wheels of... Jesus carrying the cross.
True. And I think that they are all really freaked out by what happened to Tom Sandoval, because what happened to him culturally could happen to any of them if they step out of line. I think that's what it showed, is like, there's no, like, you could make one wrong move and then everyone can turn on you and you become shunned. And so I think everyone's a little bit reticent to, like, start stoning him to death. And Lisa's really throwing a wrench into that by, like, going on her fucking suicide tour. And, like, it's true.
No, Lisa has her breast out and is breastfeeding him a little.
She has pulled a jug out and is saying, come here and suck on mommy's
Which is
milkies.
very typical of Lisa to favor the men.
When you do that,
Sorry.
and you throw a wrench into the stoning, then it makes anyone who would throw the stone look even worse. So then it's like they're at risk of getting shunned and then becoming, like, the worst person. So it's like someone is going to have to step up. Basically, someone's going to have to step up to the plate and not be a fucking pussy. Because right now, everyone's being a fucking pussy on this show.
Well, it's also just...
Except for Tom, kind of. But even he's being a pussy, because I think he's a bit of a liar.
But... you see everyone, like, they are all shell shocked by this fame. Like, we've talked about it, but, like, as the season's going on, we're in the 4th episode now, everyone just looks like they've been through something. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? And everyone is like, whoa. Like, it's almost like they wanted this. They wanted to be, like, they've always saw themselves as this, deserving this level of fame. But now that it actually came, it's almost like, ooh, I kind of just wanted to be famous to, like...
I wanted to be famous for, like, my podcast or, like, my music.
Yeah, or like
my modeling or, like, my great looks and hot bod.
Like, I wanted niche fame, and now...
It's never been meant to happen like that for these people.
That's what it is.
That is not... the world that this show has ever played.
You're so
in.
right. They were not meant to be this famous.
No.
But honestly,
they thought that they were, but they thought they would get there through some other avenue. But the only avenue that could take them there was this show and their maltreatment of each other.
And I think Ariana she's taking it and running with it, and
as she should,
and she's slaying on Chicago. Like, I'm
gonna need Miss Thing to get back in the mix and film a scene or two.
I have faith that she will, like, I understand she's, like, kind of...
It is 3 months later,
yeah.
So it is, like, very fresh.
Yeah, and I think she's just, like, enjoying... But I'm, like... I almost don't really include her in this... Because, like, she's like, hey, I actually... Turns out I was meant for this fame. And now she's Miss Roxy Hart. Mm-hmm. But... you know, the Katies and even the Lala, like...
Poor Katie. Katie, like, in the New York Times was never even mentioned by name. It was just Ariana starting a sandwich shop with, quote, another cast member.
I know.
Oh. Ooh.
Katie's fuging in this season.
Katie is seeing her future. And in the future, the vision is just hoagies and Chef Penny. The future literally is like mayo. So, like, I too would be a little bit like, this sandwich shop is all she has. She's like, She needs
Katie
better hope that Ariana
I know.
continues to want to do this sandwich shop.
Ariana's like she's gonna be like Broadway hopping now.
Yeah, Ariana's
like,
gonna be like, anything goes.
Yeah.
Do. And meanwhile, Katie's gonna be like putting mustard on buns.
I've walked by.
Katie's gonna be like slicing salami.
It's completely vacant.
I think they move.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what, but you know what? I don't care.
But like, yeah, it is. It's.
But another cast member, she better get off her ass and start to work, or else it's buns and potato chips for you. It's lattice. It's dusting the lattice for you. It's being a manager of a sandwich shop for you.
Maybe she wants that.
Maybe she just wants a simple life of sandwiches. Wait, okay, we have some like other news things to cover.
Yeah.
First of all, I need to announce a huge coup that happened today.
But
Okay, so for those of you that have followed my struggles with my apartment via Patreon, and you've known my months-long struggles with leaks and just like my sad story, today was the day that the city was sending an inspector to like look at the apartments, and I think the city of LA is doing that for this neighborhood in particular. But the city inspector showed up, and I gave him the tour top to bottom of every leak in the house and just showed him everything there was to show. And we're upstairs standing kind of in my closet area chit-chatting, and he goes, "Your voice sounds really familiar. Do you do a podcast?" And I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "Sexy Unique Podcast?" And I go, "Yes, I do. And he's a fan of the podcast. And Carrie,
is he a gay?
I literally was like, "The Lord works in mysterious ways." I was like,
I have chills.
No, I have full chills. Brian. He goes, "My boyfriend owns a pug." I was like, "Oh my God. The moment I've been waiting for." I said, "That's amazing."
You're in my house.
I go, "It all happens."
Now he's
film
gonna take
right downstairs.
Now he's gonna take extra
good care of me.
Shout out to Ryan.
I go, "It's over for the owner of this building."
Was he like
you fucked with
lolling?
the wrong podcaster. I didn't ask how well he knows the show, but he knows it well enough to like know. Shout out to Brian, my fucking hero.
I said shout out to Ryan. That is
isn't that unbelievable?
That's incredible.
Yeah, I know. I was like, there is a higher power. I was like, I see you.
Listen, if again we ask if you
just say anything.
But if I've had, there have been a few moments where like a really nice listener will like approach me and be like, "I'm so sorry if this is weird," and I'm like,
never.
No, never. I'm like,
I invited him to our show.
Amazing.
I said, "We have a show. Come on down.
We'll shout you out."
No, like if I ended up in the nursing home and someone was wiping my ass, but they were a fan, I would hope that mid-wipe, they were like, "By the way, I love Sex Unique Podcast." Like that's what I want. That's what I crave.
Yeah.
I need that. It's all for, in those moments, like today, I realize it's all for something.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, and there may be a God.
And you know what? The management company will rue the day.
They'll rue the day.
They will rue the day that they let
Came
this
across
apartment leak.
This podcaster.
That they didn't fix roofs. Oh, it's over for them.
Oh, happy day.
They're going to get some calls, and their vibe is literally, once Brian gets done with them,
It's a yo-ho moment.
It's a true yo-ho moment for them. So yeah, that was major. It was a huge win for the team, for everyone.
That's a congrats to the team.
I would like to just thank everyone that's ever listened to this podcast. You did this.
I'd like to thank everyone that's ever written a book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there was one more. There was some flight drama.
Guys.
Since we recorded our last
two instances.
There's been two huge instances to add to the Would You Rather flight drama mix.
So United flight from New York to San Francisco had night flight to San Francisco, chased the moon across America. God, it's been years since I've been on a plane. Angels in America. Sorry.
Kushner is shook.
But they had to divert and land in Denver because their fucking plane wing was disintegrating midair. It was literally falling apart. As they're landing, this guy's narrating. He goes, well, there's the wing. And it's literally breaking apart midair. What is happening?
That is... They need to have you inspecting. That was a simple, like... eyeballs on this wing, like this wing is unfit. Well, you said you would gladly inspect, and I was like, this is something that you could catch.
Eagle eye, but like, what the fuck is happening? And I know it's like, look, I'm not an idiot. I know it's because social media has just made everything seem like it's worse, but like this shit.
But everything is worse.
But it is. I know things.
But it's bad.
No, this is really bad. And like, I know things seem like, oh, this is always. It's now we have phones. Like, remember when Pete Buttigieg was like, trains always crash, when the East Palestine, Ohio thing. They're
like, we're growing like an antennae out of our head, and our babies are born with like.
This happens all the time. It's
yeah,
just
he's
now,
like, trains just crash,
but
no, oil leaks into the earth.
This is extra. Something is happening to the airlines
something
right now.
Amiss.
And then this guy's posted that his plane, I think, had to land, or they had to tie up a blackout man 30 minutes into a flight in America, try to open the emergency door midair. And a bunch of 5 men, including the guy posting about it.
Who stopped him? Didn't
passengers.
Like someone, but like.
They tied him up.
There was like a famous person involved.
Yeah,
in
he's like, me and 5 other guys had to restrain this motherfucker.
Who was the famous person?
Some guy on, I don't know.
I can't remember.
But they went like United 93 and like took him in.
That's
like,
what we
tied
have
him
to
to a
do.
seat.
That's what can unite us all too, is a plane crisis happening, and then you have to band together with your fellow passengers. And I just want to say, if you're on a plane with me and someone's gonna try to open the door, I will throw my hat into the ring.
Me too.
And I will do what it takes to tie them up and tape them to a seat. I'll hop on their back.
I'll bite their shoulder.
Bite an ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll gnaw.
I'll kick them in the back of the knee.
But like,
I'll trip them in the aisle.
Yeah, no, if I think there's a chance that we're going down.
We like to sit in the exit row. So if someone got in the mix,
I'll gouge their fucking eyes out.
I'd be like, absolutely fucking not. I will not. Like, I lie in the exit row, and they're like, if something's happening,
agreement.
will you be the last person?
I need a
and I'm
yes,
like, totally. Yes. But really, the reason I'm sitting in the exit row is because I'm gonna be the first fucking person on the. But like, if someone is trying to come and ruin this whole flight by like opening up an emergency door, you better believe that I will tap into something, and in that moment I will know kung fu.
No, I will. I know people always say like, oh, you never know how, like, you say this now, but in the moment I would actually, I'm so afraid and anxious about flying, I would gouge his fucking eyes out.
Yeah.
But he came in from 5 rows behind. That's the thing. He wasn't even sitting there.
Well, yeah, but he would still have to come into your row.
No, I know, but this drunk motherfucker.
Why was he wanting to do this?
He was insane. He had like drunk psychosis, I think.
They're like, get him on the plane.
No, and I love.
This is the same as those people that were like, let that dying man on the plane in Thailand.
Oh, we haven't heard anything from that.
Yeah.
Haven't heard a peep.
Wait, okay, so now there have actually been 3, because we didn't cover the Delta flight that was forced to turn back after maggots fell on passengers from the overhead compartment.
What's gonna happen next week when we fly?
We're in for it.
I know something. I pray they better not fuck this up.
They better not fuck this up.
If
It's been a minute since we've heard like anything from American, and I'm nervous. Hopefully I'll be upgraded, so I'll be out of the fray. Whatever happens in coach is the coach's problem. But like,
hey, but that sick guy, that was first class.
Who?
The Bangkok to Germany.
I'm gonna have my eyes open. Your boots on the ground.
Didn't you see a bug in the partition when we were flying one show?
Yeah, one time there was a like baby dead roach that had just been smashed and left on the wall. Okay. Business. First.
Anyway.
Saying.
Something's happening. Maybe it's the universe telling us.
I'd rather have like all three of those is not a good situation. I guess I'd rather have like the crazy man.
Yeah, that's so scary though, because like
You just never know what they're...
someone who's like unhinged like that, they're like, you cannot reason. But like the wing breaking, because I think a plane can fly with one wing, right? No, one engine. Sorry.
Yeah, I was
sorry,
gonna say
everyone.
one
Sorry,
wing, no.
misinformation. I know. One engine.
One engine, but
like plane
wing off is death.
I literally was like, this is CGI. That's how fucking uncanny it looked.
But if I was like covered in maggots,
no, it's over.
All three
out.
scenarios are lawsuit time. All three scenarios are a chance to get 10K or higher.
Fire up the attorneys.
I know. We need an attorney. Everyone should, much like Lisa Barlow, who has 6 attorneys. I really encourage everyone. And also, any attorneys out there, this is a great business to get into. Now that all these plane things are being documented, there needs to be a law firm that just is suing airlines. That is like, isn't this genius? Like, that's like, if you've been on a plane where some shit has gone down, call flight attorneys, 1-800-FLY-LAW, and we will press charges and we will class action sue the fuck out of these airlines and get you the money you deserve.
Yeah. Also,
if you have a law firm that you do that and you want to advertise on the pod, let us know.
And it's just annoying because whenever they're like, do you want to insure this flight for an extra $40? You're like, well, yeah, now I'm like, yes, because I could have maggots on me.
I think that's a scam.
I mean,
flight
it's all a
insurance is a scam. What you really want to have is you need to have like a good credit card that then they'll help you out with stuff.
Yeah.
But then also you should just lawyer up, because if you win, they win.
Yeah. Well,
that's all for current events today.
Current events continue to just shock and awe.
Yeah. Nothing like them. So like and subscribe for more.
Like and subscribe for more. Click below and you can subscribe to this channel, like the video, and share with friends.
Bye.
Bye.